This part begins with Liam's decision to enter the dark web to get revenge on Zane, and ends after his terrifying experience with the black box and the first appearance of Lilith.
As you saw in the last episode of the Corpses APP, Alex and I left the police station and couldn't prove a single thing against Zane, or even prove that he existed at all. I went home and my mind was paralyzed.
Zane is like a mirage. It's impossible to reach him.
But he exists in one place, a place he's always in, on the dark web.
It was then that I had the idea to enter the dark web.
Maybe I could reach him somehow, and then I'd report him, and when he falls, he won't fall alone. A lot of people will fall with him, because he is a link between many things on the dark web, and he is involved in everything.
As soon as I walked through the apartment door, the feeling of anxiety didn't leave me.
I felt that there were eyes watching me from every direction, and that I was just a new target for Zane.
But the voice of revenge was louder than any fear.
Zane's voice was in my ear, laughing mockingly and saying, "You won't be able to reach me, Suleiman." And that was the fuel that made me even more determined. I went into my room, opened my laptop, and started downloading the browser called Tor, because that was the only gateway to the dark web.
I started trying to find the hidden websites, just as Zane had shown me the last time.
Of course, I was very scared while browsing, afraid that a new disaster would happen. But at the same time, every time, I remembered what Zane had done to me. I wanted to get revenge and be the reason he gets caught.
With a false sense of courage, I started moving between websites.
Each one was worse than the one before it.
A page with live murder videos, pages for selling human organs, all of it happening right in front of my eyes.
I felt nauseous and fear was gnawing at me, until I found a site that really caught my attention. I paused in front of it for a bit.
The page was completely black, with a large gateway on it and "Beyond the Gates of the Hidden World" written underneath.
There was a picture of a box and a random box was written on it. Underneath was an enter button.
The image of the box was glowing with a strange red light, and the gateway seemed to be moving as if it was breathing.
I found myself pressing enter without thinking.
I forgot about Zane, and I forgot about everything.
My curiosity started to take over again, making me want to know what this website was.
The website took me to another page, which had about 20 boxes drawn on it. They were all black, looked similar, and had strange decorations. At the top of the page, it said, "The random box of the dark internet." At the bottom of the page, in small letters, it said, "Hold your breath
and open a random gate to the other world and discover your power to control others through your box." And under that, in even smaller letters, "Original products from West Africa and the Caribbean region." I didn't understand what this was at all. But what I did understand was that it was a random box, like the ones you see on YouTube, where people open boxes and find cameras and other things.
But what gate? What other world? What would I control? The words were suspicious, and I didn't get what it was about. So my curiosity grew to know what this was. Every time I hovered over a box, a red question mark would appear, and a buy icon would appear below it. At the time, I thought this was the safest thing I could buy from the dark web without getting into any trouble.
It was just a normal random box, like the ones everyone gets on YouTube and opens and watches.
It would be difficult for it to get me into any trouble.
But unfortunately, the site only dealt in Bitcoin, not dollars. The price was about 0.06 for Bitcoin, which is roughly $600 after conversion. It wasn't that expensive, and the price included delivery to any place in the world. And it said that it was a reliable service that would deliver the box wherever you were. Of course, I started searching the internet on how to convert dollars to Bitcoin, and it took me a long time until I figured out how to open a wallet to put dollars in and convert them to Bitcoin, making it safe for me to use and buy with.
I chose a random box from the middle and pressed on it.
I completed the purchase, and it told me that the box would arrive within a week. For that entire week, I kept wondering what could be inside the box I bought.
What could possibly come from the dark web inside this box? On the 5th day, at AM, I woke up terrified by the sound of a loud, repeated doorbell, as if it wasn't a normal house bell, but an old church bell.
And there was a weird and scary knock on the door. I ran to the door to see who was knocking in such a stupid way.
I looked through the peephole before opening, but didn't find anyone. But I felt the presence of something standing in front of me. I opened the door and looked left and right. There was no one, but I found a box placed in front of the door. The box was black, medium-sized, and the random box of the dark world was written on it.
A faint halo of black mist was coming out of the box, and it was very cold to the touch. I picked up the box from in front of the door and went into the room with it.
I put it in my room and ran to the balcony to see who had delivered the box. To be honest, I wanted to curse at them. It was the first time in my life I'd seen a shipping company come at M, knock in such a stupid way, and leave the item in front of the door without me receiving it. Someone could have come and stolen it. But when I looked, there was no one in the street. I was alone at home that day.
I ran quickly to the room.
I had a terrible curiosity to know what was inside the box. I started to open it, and inside I found another small box.
I took out some papers, a bag with ground incense, and another bag with some candles.
As soon as I took them out, I felt like I had been scammed.
I paid all that money, $600, for some incense, some candles, and some papers.
My hope was that the small box would have something valuable inside. I started to open it and found sand inside. I rummaged through the sand and found a doll that wasn't clean.
It was dirty and had symbols and marks on it and looked terrifying.
I took it out and put it aside.
Then I picked up the papers to read what was written on them. The paper said, "Follow the instructions as they are to open a gate to the other world. First, you must begin at midnight. Second, follow the drawing." The drawing was, I had to draw a hexagonal star with the incense, put the doll in the middle of it,
and place the candles in a triangular shape at the points of the star.
Then I had to light the incense, so it would light up the whole star shape. After that, I had to read the words on the third paper, and when the candles lit up on their own, the gate would be open.
The person whose name is spoken at that moment would be connected to the doll, and I would be able to control them and their body, and they would be completely under my control. Of course, the first person that came to mind was Zane, because if this was true, I would be able to control him, and maybe find his location, and maybe capture him. How?
I don't know, but it was written that I would know how to control him, and if the words were not true, then I was scammed. I looked at the time, and it was 3:30 a.m., so if I was going to follow the instructions, I had to wait until the next day at midnight. But my love for curiosity to know what would happen and how I would control Zane, and my love for revenge against him as well, made me unable to wait. Then I said to myself, it's only 3.5 hours. It's not a big deal. And as long as the sun hasn't come up yet, it's fine. We're still in the night. I opened the incense and started to draw the hexagonal star with it, and I put the doll in the middle.
I placed the candles at the point of each triangle in the star and lit the incense.
Then I started to read the words on the third paper, which were completely incomprehensible.
I started to read exactly what was written, and I didn't understand a thing of what was written. Suddenly, the window flew open, and a strong wind came in. The candlelight started to flicker, lighting up and going out. I started to hear terrifying sounds in the room, pounding and screaming. The smoke got very thick around me, and I saw the doll I had put in the middle start to burn, and suddenly it vanished.
As soon as it vanished, everything stopped at the same time.
The wind stopped, the pounding and screaming stopped, the candles went out, everything stopped in the same second.
I was about to die of terror and didn't even manage to say Zane or any other name. At that moment, I felt that something was wrong. Where did the doll that was there go?
I was supposed to use it. The fact that it vanished was not written on the papers at all.
Even if it burned, I should have found its ashes, but there was nothing at all, as if nothing had happened, as if there was no doll in the box in the first place.
I got a plastic bag and started to collect the wax and throw it in the bag, and I collected the rest of the incense and threw it in there too.
I carried the bag and the box and went to throw them in the trash or in the kitchen.
As soon as I entered the kitchen, I found a woman standing in front of me, with long black hair. Her skin was pale white, her eyes were white with no pupils, and her clothes were dusty and torn.
I froze in place and didn't move, and I looked at her while she was silent. Then suddenly she started speaking and said to me, "You brought me here at dawn and you wanted to destroy me." I asked her, "Who are you?"
She said, "I am Lilith, daughter of Abukarim, the queen of the kings of the Jinn.
We own what is under the ground and the dust, and you will come down with me below." I asked her, "Down where?" She said, "Under the ground. Come down with me or I will destroy you." Out of terror, I opened the door and ran barefoot down the stairs. I ran until I reached the building's courtyard, and I found Mr. Ben the doorman in front of me.
He said, "What is it? What is it?" As soon as I saw him, I said, "Come up with me."
"Come up with me quickly,"
he said. "What is it, Mr. Lion? What's wrong?"
I ran up with him quickly.
I ran up the stairs until I reached the apartment. I went in quickly and started looking for anything, but I didn't find anything, and he was behind me saying, "What is it? What is it?" I looked around, but there was nothing. The box had disappeared. The incense was gone. The candles, everything. There was no trace of anything. I told him, "It's nothing, Mr. Ben." And I told him there was just a big rat, and I tried to kill it, but I was scared of it and ran down quickly to call you. He looked at me and laughed mockingly. He said, "Well, instead of running down the stairs barefoot, just call me on my phone and I'll come up to you." And he left me and walked away. He was hitting his palm with his hand and closed the door and went down.